So the Chicago Red Stars were founded back in 2008, actually. We were playing in a second incarnation of a women's professional soccer league at that time called WPS, Women's Professional Soccer. And unfortunately that league folded after 3 years. After that time we had one owner that really kept the team going, that wanted to keep the brand alive in hopes that another pro league would come around. And he was very integral in getting the next pro league started, which is the National Women's Soccer League, NWSL, which is what we're in now. So that came back in 2013. So we're now in our third season back in the National Women's Soccer League, and compared to our two previous women's professional soccer leagues, this one is really stable now. We've got the backing of the U.S. Soccer Federation, which happens to be based here in Chicago. So they administer our league, but they also provide the salaries for the national team players to be playing in our league. So we're lucky enough to have some of the top talent in the world playing in our league that essentially isn't at a cost to each of the individual teams, which helps dramatically with our expenses. So this league is a lot different from the last league, because I obviously was in the last league with the Red Stars. I lived through the pain of having that league fold and going through that process, and things feel much different this time around. We're in our third year with no teams having dropped out yet, which is a big deal. In the previous leagues, you usually had a bit of an ebb and flow with some teams leaving, new teams added on, but this league this time around we've only had teams added on, and we have a lot of expansion interest. We obviously want to grow slow and not too quickly in our early stages, so really analyzing the new ownership groups that are coming in and making sure it's the right fit and the right time. But this league, I definitely think it's built to last this time around. Anybody who's seeing this probably saw something about the Women's World Cup this summer, which is a huge opportunity for us. These championship cycles only come around every 4 years. So right now we're in the World Cup. Obviously the US won. That created a dramatic amount of excitement here in the United States. Now our players are starting to be recognized. We were lucky to have one of the breakout players of the World Cup, which is Julie Johnston. So now a lot of people are actually recognizing her as a Red Stars player, which helps us, but it's also helping around the league that these players are now household names, that people know who they are. They're excited about women's soccer. So having that bump, and you get it a little bit anyway, no matter how the US does, but the fact that they actually won the World Cup this time, and the media exposure that came after that in the weeks, and it's really still lasting now in terms of the media exposure that women's soccer is getting in this country now. It's been really tremendous for us. After the World Cup, we had 2 sellouts for our home games, which we hadn't had this year yet. So we're seeing a dramatic increase in interest with our players specifically, but also with our league as a whole. And I think that momentum is really going to carry us. Next year is obviously the Olympic year. Hopefully the US has another good showing. But these things help our league dramatically, and we're seeing a big turnaround for women's soccer right now.